Let's begin with a truth that most men never consider. A woman's body remembers everything, not just physically, but psychologically, emotionally, somatically. You see, while men are often taught to separate the body from the mind, women live in their bodies. They feel through them. Their bodies hold memory, pain, pleasure, fear, desire, safety. And even when the conscious mind forgets or suppresses, the body does not. That's why you can be sitting with a woman who says she's fine, yet everything in her posture, her tone, her energy is telling you otherwise. She may smile, but if her shoulders are tight, her jaw is clenched, her breath shallow. What she's really communicating is guardedness. And that's not about you personally. That's about everything her body has survived. Every time she was touched, but not cherished. Every time she trusted and it was broken. Every moment she was made to feel unsafe in her own skin. And men who don't understand this will misread her completely. Now let's go deeper. In psychology, there's a concept called body memory. It's the idea that the body stores emotional and traumatic experiences, especially those that the brain may not fully process at the time. For women who are more biologically wired for sensory and emotional attunement, this storage runs deep. Her body remembers not just what happened, but how it felt, how she contracted, how she shut down, or how she opened, trusted, and was met with presence or betrayal. This is why a woman may have a strong reaction to something seemingly small. A word, a look, a certain kind of touch. To the untrained man, it seems irrational. But to her nervous system, it's a familiar echo of a wound. Her body isn't reacting to the present moment. It's reliving the past. And if you're the man in front of her, your energy will either soothe that memory or reawaken it. Here's where most men get it wrong. They think because a woman says she's over something, she is. But healing doesn't happen at the verbal level. It happens in the body. A woman who has been through emotional or physical trauma might intellectually understand what happened, but her body might still flinch at intimacy. She may crave closeness and simultaneously fear it. She may desire love while her body holds distrust. And that contradiction isn't confusion, it's survival. So what does that mean for you as a man? It means you can't just be present with her words. You must learn to be present with her energy, with her posture, with her breath, with the way her body responds or doesn't to yours. If she pulls away slightly when you reach for her, don't take it personally. Tune in. Ask silently, is this moment asking me to slow down, to soften, to hold space instead of take it? Because her body will speak before her mouth does. And it takes a grounded man to listen. When a woman is truly safe in your presence, her body tells you. She breathes deeper. Her eyes soften. Her shoulders drop. She doesn't just lean into you physically. She opens energetically. And that kind of opening is never accidental. It's earned. It happens when your presence communicates something deeper than desire. It communicates honor. Understand this, your presence is medicine, or it's a trigger. If you carry tension, entitlement, or agenda, her body will brace. But if you carry stillness, strength, and authenticity, her body will begin to trust. That trust isn't logical, it's primal. Her nervous system will respond long before her intellect catches up. And in that space, you're no longer just a man she's talking to. You become a man she can feel safe with. And safety is the foundation of everything meaningful. Now, let me be absolutely clear. This doesn't mean you walk on eggshells or try to play therapist. It means you show up with awareness, with a commitment to presence. It means you become the kind of man who pays attention, who notices when her laughter is forced, who feels when her touch withdraws, who pauses instead of pushing, who understands that getting her body is not the goal, earning her trust is. Because once you have that, everything else flows. Think about this, most men chase a woman's body, but few ever understand it. Fewer still ever respect it. But the man who does, who treats her body not as something to conquer, but something to listen to, something to honor, that man will experience levels of connection, intimacy, and devotion that others only fantasize about. Most men have been conditioned to believe that a woman's attraction is primarily visual, based on how you look, how tall you are, how symmetrical your features might be. But this is surface level thinking. In reality, a woman's body is not drawn in by aesthetics alone. Her real attraction is triggered by something far deeper, far more invisible emotional safety. And her body knows the difference, even if her mind hasn't fully explained it yet. This is where it gets profound, and yes, shocking for many men to realize. A woman's arousal, her openness, her receptivity, it doesn't begin in the bedroom. It begins in her nervous system. If her body can relax around you, if her emotional walls can lower without fear of being hurt, judged, or misunderstood, then her attraction to you moves from curiosity to chemistry, and from chemistry to connection. You might be the most physically attractive man in the room. You might have the sharpest outfit, the strongest jawline, the smoothest words. But if your energy carries tension, insecurity, or emotional volatility, her body will feel it before her mind can explain it, and she'll pull back. Not out of rejection, but out of instinct. Because attraction for a woman isn't just about how you look. It's about how she feels in your presence. Does her body feel safe to open, or does it brace for impact? Let's take this deeper. In neuroscience, there's a principle known as neuroception, a subconscious process by which the body scans for cues of safety or threat without our conscious awareness. This process lives in the autonomic nervous system, and it's especially sensitive in women due to both evolutionary wiring and lived experience. When you enter her space, her body is immediately scanning. Are you safe? Are you grounded? Are you present? Can I let my guard down here? If the answer is yes, something magical begins to happen. Her parasympathetic nervous system engages. Her body enters a state of calm. Her breathing deepens. Her muscles soften. Her voice slows down. She starts to mirror your energy, not because you're manipulating her, but because you're offering her something rarer, emotional presence without pressure. But if you're carrying emotional immaturity, if you're impatient, performative, too eager to prove yourself, her nervous system will read that as chaos, not confidence. Even if she smiles and nods, her body will start to close. Her tone will change. She'll cross her arms, create distance, or suddenly close interest. Not because she's playing games, but because her body is saying, this isn't stable. Now, here's where it becomes even more fascinating. Many women can't always explain why they're drawn to a certain man. But if you ask them how they felt around him, they'll say things like, I don't know, I just felt calm. I could be myself. It's like I could breathe around him. That right there is the key. Her attraction was not based on performance. It was based on presence. She didn't fall for his image. She fell for how her nervous system responded in his presence. And this is where you have a choice. You can continue trying to impress women by being louder, flashier, more dominant, or you can become the man who understands that true masculine power is silent, grounded, and emotionally intelligent. The kind of man who doesn't just hold her attention, but holds her energy. The kind of man whose very presence becomes the safest space she knows. Because here's the true thing, women want to feel safe more than they want to be entertained. Emotional safety is foreplay. It's a foundation for trust, for intimacy, for lasting attraction. If her nervous system doesn't trust you, no amount of compliments or charm will keep her close. But if her nervous system feels seen, heard, and protected by your presence, her body will begin to lean in, effortlessly, instinctively. And this isn't about being passive or overly sensitive. It's about embodied strength. It's about being so emotionally regulated, so rooted in your masculinity, that her body doesn't have to do the work of protecting itself in your presence. That is rare. That is powerful. That is irresistible. So the next time you're with a woman you're drawn to, don't just focus on what to say. Focus on who you're being. Focus on what your energy is saying, because her body is already listening. She may not even know why, but she'll feel a pull toward you that's deeper than logic. That's not manipulation. That's mastery, because ultimately her body isn't attracted to your looks. It's attracted to your stability. If you want to understand a woman, don't just listen to her words. Learn to observe her body language, because long before she forms a sentence, her body is already speaking. And Most men miss the message entirely. Women are intuitive by nature, but they're also expressive in ways that are incredibly subtle. They're not always going to come out and say, I like you, or trust you, or I'm losing interest. But if you watch closely, if you train yourself to become attentive to the unspoken, you'll see it all written in the way she moves, the way she positions herself, the way her eyes linger or look away. Her body is a language. And if you learn to read it, it's just another wasted day. You won't need her to explain how she feels. You'll know. Let's talk about the science behind this. Studies in nonverbal communication show that over 90% of emotional meaning is conveyed through body language, tone, and facial expression. Words are just a thin layer. They're easy to control, easy to manipulate. But body language, that's raw. It's reactive. It bypasses the filter of logic and expresses what's real. So what does this mean for you as a man? It means if you're only paying attention to what she says, you're missing the deeper truth of how she feels. You're stuck in the surface level conversation while her body is already giving you the real story. Here's an example. When a woman feels safe and connected, her body relaxes. She turns her body towards you. She leans in. Her voice softens. She makes longer eye contact. She'll touch her hair, expose her neck, subtly mirror your movements. She'll laugh more freely, tilt her head when you speak. These aren't tricks. They're biological signals. Her body is literally telling you, I feel safe. I'm open. I'm drawn to you. On the other hand, when a woman feels uncertain or disinterested, again, even if she doesn't say it directly, her body will pull back. She may angle herself away from you. Her arms may cross in front of her chest. She'll avoid eye contact or keep her responses short. She may glance at her phone or scan the room. It's not always coldness. It's often subconscious withdrawal. Her body is saying, this connection doesn't feel right. And you have to be man enough, mature enough, to receive that truth without reacting from ego. Most men get frustrated when women send mixed signals. But more often than not, the signals aren't mixed. They're just missed because the man wasn't paying attention to what mattered. He was too focused on her words, or worse, on his own agenda. Now, here's something even deeper. When a woman starts to feel emotionally connected to you, she may not even realize what's happening in her own body. She may catch herself leaning toward you without thinking. She may mirror your tone or posture unconsciously. Her pupils may dilate. Her breathing may slow to match yours. These aren't choices. They're responses. Waste a day. Her body is calibrating to your energy, to your masculine presence. And if she feels like she doesn't have to perform, it's just another wasted day, that she can simply be. That's when her body starts to communicate full openness. But let's be real. This doesn't happen if your presence is chaotic, aggressive, or emotionally unavailable. You can't fake groundedness. You either carry it or you don't. If you're anxious, pushy, or seeking validation, her body will sense it, and it will close. So your role isn't to decode her body like a manipulator or play the game of seduction like a performer. Your role is to become so present, so attuned, so deeply grounded in who you are as a man that her body naturally responds. Not as you coursed it, but because it felt you. Because a woman's body listens to what your energy says, not your mouth. If your words say, I respect you, but your gaze optifies her, her body knows the truth. If you say, I care about you, but you're emotionally distracted, her body will stiffen. You don't get to lie to her nervous system. It will always recognize who you are before you ever touch her. And that's the part most men never learn. We live in a world that teaches men to talk more, to say the right things, to have the right lines, to play it cool. But the real skill, the real mastery, is in listening. And not just listening to her voice, but listening to her presence, her posture, her pauses, her breath. Because when a woman feels truly seen without having to explain herself, when she realizes you can sense her body's truth without her needing to translate it, that's when she starts to trust you. That's when she opens. That's another wasted day. That's when you stop being just another man and become someone she actually feels. And that's a different level of connection entirely. So here's the challenging. Stop focusing so much on what to say. Start paying attention to what she's already showing. Because if you learn to read the silent language of her body, you'll understand her ways most men never will. Most men have no idea how deeply a woman's hormonal cycles affect not just her body, but her psychology, her emotions, her boundaries, even her attraction patterns. It's not random mood swings. It's not drama. It's biology, intricate, rhythmic biology that governs how she feels, how she connects, and what she needs from you as a man. If you don't understand this, you'll constantly misread her. You'll take things personally. You'll react with frustration or confusion, not realizing that her behavior isn't irrational. It's cyclical. And once you learn how these cycles work, you begin to see her not as unpredictable, but as beautifully patterned. You stop reacting and start responding with wisdom, with strength, and with emotional intelligence. Let's talk about how this actually works. A woman's hormonal cycle moves through 4 phases: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, and menstrual. And each one affects not just her physical state, but her mindset, her emotional availability, her communication style, even her sexual responsiveness. In the follicular phase, which begins right after her period, estrogen rises. This is when she's likely to feel more energetic, social, playful. She's future-focused, more likely to engage in new ideas, make plans, laugh easily. You'll notice her body language becomes more open. This is the phase where she feels like she's getting back into herself. If you're trying to bond or connect intellectually, this is a good time. She'll be receptive. But that receptivity isn't just emotional, it's chemical. Then comes the ovulatory phase, around mid-cycle. And this is where attraction cues are heightened. Her voice becomes slightly higher. Her scent subtly changes. Her skin glows. Her body is biologically primed to attract. This is when she may feel more sexually expressive, confident, flirtatious. But don't mistake this energy as purely physical. It's also deeply emotional. She's more intuitive, more attuned. If she chooses to open up during this phase, she's letting you into a powerful, vulnerable space. But here's where the shift happens. As she enters the luteal phase, after ovulation, her progesterone rises, and with it comes a need for stability, grounding, and emotional depth. This is the phase where she's less interested in games or stimulation and more focused on authenticity. If you're inconsistent during this time, if your energy is scattered or your intentions unclear, her body will sense it instantly. She'll become more guarded, not because she doesn't like you, but because her body is now craving safety over spark, substance over style. And finally, during the menstrual phase, when her hormone levels drop, her energy turns inward. This is the time when she may feel more reflective, more sensitive, even withdrawn. Her nervous system is more exposed. Her emotions sit closer to the surface. If she trusts you, she'll allow you into this vulnerable space. But if you misread her quietness as distance or her emotional depth as weakness, you'll break that trust without even realizing it. Now, ask yourself how many men are actually paying attention to this. Most just assume women are moody, complicated, emotional. But in truth, they're cyclical. And this cycle is not a flaw. It's not an inconvenience. It's intelligence. A rhythm that, when understood, makes you a better partner, a better listener, and a stronger man. Because when you're aware of where she is in her cycle, you respond instead of react. You know when she's more emotionally available and when she needs space. You know when to initiate and when to hold. You don't take her shifts personally. You respect them. You don't ask her to match your linear energy. You adjust with emotional maturity. And she will feel that. She may not say it directly, but her body will register your awareness. She'll feel more relaxed around you, more emotionally safe. She'll start to trust that you're not just trying to get something from her, but that you're actually attuned to her. That kind of attentiveness is rare. It's masculine presence at a whole new level. And here's the truth most men never hear: if a woman feels like she has to explain her emotions to you constantly, she won't feel safe. She'll eventually stop sharing. But if you already know how her body moves through these emotional seasons, if you can hold space without needing constant explanation, you become a man she doesn't have to manage emotionally. You become a man she can relax into. That relaxation, that's everything. Because a woman doesn't open to the man who performs. She opens to the man who understands, but not perfectly, not scientifically, but with awareness, with empathy, with presence. So if you want to connect with a woman, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually, study her cycle. Not like a scientist, but like someone who cares. Watch how her energy moves, how her needs shift. Ask thoughtful questions. Pay attention to her body language, her tone, her pace. Be the man who doesn't flinch when she's emotional and doesn't rush when she's quiet. Because when a woman feels met, not just physically, but emotionally and hormonally, something rare happens.